The courtroom is alive this morning, the sort of silence that leans against your chest, making every movement deafening. Sunlight filters in through the tall windows and streaks across the polished floor, illuminating dust motes dancing lazily in the air. Kody enters first, his shoulders stiff and his jaw tight. He usually stands with an air of calm command, but today, something is different. There's a tension about him, a slight jerkiness that even the judge couldn't help but catch. A small twitch of unease in his otherwise impassive expression. Robin follows close behind, clutching her folder like it's a life jacket. Her eyes are wide, scanning the courtroom, taking in every little move, every glance, every twitch of muscle on the faces surrounding them. Across the room, Christine sits like a predator waiting to strike, her sharp gaze cutting through the tension. She taps her fingers lightly against the table, an impatient rhythm that seems to mock the solemnity of the room. Mary sits quietly, hands folded tightly in her lap, while Janelle's movements betray her inner turmoil. She fidgets with her ring, looks repeatedly at Kody, and quickly looks away. The courtroom is full of the Browns and their allies, all present for what promises to be an unforgettable day. The hush is broken by a stern figure in a black robe who clears his throat. Court is now in session, he intones. The words echo slightly in the high-ceilinged room. There is a faint smell of coffee and old wood hanging in the air, along with the soft scent of perfume, sweat, and nerves. Every person in the room instinctively leans in, as if drawn by a gravitational pull toward the unfolding drama. The first witness is called a longtime family friend who has been within close proximity to the Browns' lives for years. She rises slowly, her hands shaking a little as she steps forward. The courtroom is quieter, and even the rustling of papers seems loud in the air, full of tension. She hesitates, taking a moment to steady herself, then swallows hard. I never thought I'd say this in front of everybody, she begins, voice trembling but firm. But there's something Kody has been hiding, something Robin and the rest of the family deserve to know. Kody's eyes widen. His hand twitches slightly, and he looks to Robin, who instinctively reaches for his hand. For the first time that morning, Kody pulls back, a look of confusion and dread plain on his face. Christine's smirk is small, but it's weighted with satisfaction, a quiet gleefulness in knowing she has front row seats to the unraveling. The witness begins to recount events in painstaking detail. She talks about late-night arguments that no one outside the family ever knew existed, whispered conversations suggesting alliances, and secret documents tucked away in Kody's office. Every sentence she says seems like a carefully aimed arrow, slicing through the carefully constructed veneer of family unity. The room grows warmer, not from the sun, but from the tension that seems to radiate off each person present. Robin leans forward, her eyes fixed on the witness, while Kody's shoulders slump slightly, the weight of his guilt, or maybe his fear displayed for all to see. Mary's eyes shine with tears, an almost silent acknowledgement of truths long suspected. Janelle's fidgeting becomes more pronounced as she listens to details that go against everything she thought she knew. Christine keeps her gaze steadily on Kody. Every twitch, every flicker of emotion is meticulously registered in real time to feed her validation. And then there is the cinematic clarity that characterizes the telling of the story, as it comes from the witness. She talks of a night when Kody stayed up late, arguing over finances with Robin. How Christine found a letter he had left in the corner of his office, meant for nobody but himself, with words of alliance, resentments, and secrets that could destroy years of built trust. Every one of these revelations doesn't feel forced, hitting with emotional weight. By this time, the courtroom is thick with emotion. You can practically feel the weight of tension pressing against the walls. All eyes lock onto Kody, trying to make out his next move. His hands fiddle with his folder, a nervous tick not seen before. Robin's breathing is measured, though there's a tremble in her voice as she whispers softly to herself, "I need to hear the truth." The second part of the testimony gradually brings in unexpected layers. The witness testifies to a private conversation she overheard between Kody and Christine several months before. A conversation insinuating secretive dealings, decisions made without knowledge of Robin, and choices that would undermine not only family unity, but also their legal position. The words are simple, yet the implication is monumental. Kody swallows hard. He opens his mouth to answer, but the words die on his tongue. Robin grips his hand briefly, a gesture that's half reassurance, half silent plea for honesty. Christine leans back in her chair, an almost imperceptible movement, signaling a quiet confidence in the chaos now unraveling. The witness pulls out her final exhibit, a small innocuous-looking folder she had been keeping in reserve. It contains documents and photographs that unequivocally refute Kody's previous statements. The photos are candid, taken at family gatherings and private meetings, capturing moments of tenderness that betrayed more complexity and more betrayal than anyone outside the family could have imagined. The courtroom holds its collective breath. Mary's hands shake as she clings to her notes, unable to tear her gaze away. Janelle bites her lip, trying to conceal both fear and concern. Robin leans in closer, tracing the edge of the folder with a finger, her eyes darting from Kody to Christine in rapid succession. Christine's smirk relaxes a fraction, giving way to an intensity, a calculated cognizance that the game has suddenly shifted. Kody's eyes fall to the floor. The weight of exposure bears down on him. The documents, the photos, the witness testimony, they are more than evidence. They are a mirror showing the fractured state of his family, the cracks in the relationships he has spent years trying to hold together. The judge clears his throat again, and the sudden, sharp sound cuts through thick tension. "We will recess for a short break," he announces, but nobody budges at once. Everybody is frozen in the aftermath of the revelation, assimilating the magnitude of what has been presented. The air is heavy, charged with emotion and anticipation. As the session draws to a close, he hands over the final piece of evidence, a file, sealed, nondescript, and oozing importance. The camera pans across the courtroom, capturing every hint of reaction. Kody's hand trembles as he reaches for it. Robin's eyes are wide with anticipation. Christine leans forward, salivating at the drama that is about to unfold. Mary and Janelle exchange uneasy glances, silently agreeing that whatever may be inside that file could redefine everything. The courtroom feels heavier, the air thick with anticipation. Kody's hands still shake while he slowly closes the file, the weight of its contents pressing on him like a physical force. Robin leans in closer as her eyes scan across the pages, her lips pursed tightly. Christine's posture shifts subtly, no longer a simple smirk, but a calculated readiness, a predator waiting to strike. Every look, every quiver, and every small movement seems magnified in the ensuing silence. Even the judge is for a moment caught in the tension that fills the courtroom, his eyes very sharp, and judging each reaction within the room. He is gone, and it feels as if the morning's first witness has left a void, electric with unspoken questions. Then the clerk asks the next participant to come forward, a private investigator, one whose reputation precedes him. He steps forward, his presence commanding attention. Dark eyes scan the room, and with one brief, almost imperceptible nod from the judge, he starts. "In the last 6 months," the investigator begins, firm, yet modulated, "I have documented evidence of the Brown family dynamics, how they relate, secretly communicate, and other activities that are not in the public domain. What I am going to present today is vital to unraveling the truth." Kody's jaw tightens. Robin swallows nervously, and Mary exhales quietly, a mix of fear and resignation. Janelle bites her lip, struggling to suppress a reaction she knows could betray her inner turmoil. Christine's eyes glint with anticipation, her hands folded calmly in front of her, but the intensity behind her gaze is palpable. It is now time for the investigator to present his first piece of evidence. A series of photographs taken over several months, candid, private conversations, late-night meetings, and encounters that suggest alliances, secrets, and emotional rifts. The images speak volumes themselves. The room has grown completely silent, save for the intermittent gasp or whispered reaction from those present. As he flips through the images, one photograph visibly causes a reaction. Kody's face pales. It shows him in what looks like a heated confrontation with Christine late at night. His hands are up in exasperation, and his expression harbors frustration mixed with fear. Robin leans in, studying the subtle expressions and trying to decipher intention with every movement. The investigator pauses, letting that sink in. "Now," he says, turning to a new folder. These documents are copies of messages and emails, which were not intended to be public. They reveal agreements, discussions, and decisions made without the knowledge of other family members. Most importantly, they show that the truth has been withheld deliberately. The courtroom is hushed. Every word cuts through the air like a knife. Mary's eyes shimmer, bright with tears she will not shed. Janelle's fingers are clenched into fists in her lap. Robin breathes hard but controlled, a tempest of emotion barely contained. Christine leans forward slightly, her posture calm, but the glint in her eyes gives her away to anyone who knows her. The investigator's next revelation sends a wave of shock through the room. A series of recorded conversations. The voice on the recordings is unmistakably Kody's, discussing matters he had claimed were private, confessions and admissions that no one outside the family should have heard. The sound of his own voice, played in a room full of those affected, is devastating. Robin flinches at the words, her hands gripping the edges of the table. Christine allows herself a small, almost imperceptible nod of triumph. The recordings revealed more than just minor betrayals. They uncovered hidden alliances, moments where Kody's decisions directly impacted family relationships without their consent. Every revelation hits with emotional intensity, creating cracks in the family's public facade. Even Kody seems unable to defend himself fully, stammering as he tries to explain away actions that now seem indefensible. Finally, Robin speaks, and her tone is even, but laced with raw emotion. "Kody, how long were we supposed to live with these lies?" Her words echo against the polished wood panels of the room, hanging in the heaviness of truth and unspoken tension. Christine looks over at Robin, a mix of satisfaction and disdain crossing her features. The investigator concludes, revealing the last bit of his report: financial records, painstakingly compiled, showing decisions made behind closed doors. The numbers are clear. There is little room for misinterpretation. Every family member reacts differently. Kody's eyes fall to the ground as the weight of his exposure crushes him. Robin's face hardens, a mix of hurt and determination. Christine purses her lips, hiding a reaction that seems to both triumph and incredulity. Janelle and Mary share eye contact that says it all without words, a silent mutual acknowledgement of betrayal and heartbreak. After a pause, the private investigator slowly takes out one envelope, sealed, and places it gingerly on the table in front of Kody. "This," he says very softly, "contains information that has never been shared publicly. It's the final piece of the puzzle." The courtroom collectively leans in, the rustling of papers, clicking of pens, and whispering of reactions filling the air. Kody hesitates, his hand hovering over the envelope. Robin leans forward, her eyes wide. Christine's smirk is gone, replaced with a sharp intensity. as if she knows the end game is near. Mary closes her eyes momentarily, steeling herself. Janelle clutches the edge of her chair, as if she's not sure she wants to witness what is about to take place. The envelope is opened slowly. Inside, the contents are revealed. Photographs, letters, and documents detailing decisions made without the consent of the other wives. Moments of secrecy and concealment, and most devastatingly, evidence of alliances that had been quietly formed to manipulate family outcomes. Every page sends a shockwave, reverberating throughout the room, leaving no one untouched. Kody's eyes are wide and haunted as he looks up. Robin touches a document, her hand trembling in disbelief at the sorrow etched across her features. Christine leans forward, her eyes glinting with vindication and intrigue. Mary lets out a soft gasp that was almost drowned out by Janelle's quiet sob, each reaction testament to the depth of the revelations. The judge raises a hand for silence. "We will pause momentarily to allow all parties to review these documents," he states. But nobody does anything right away. Everyone is frozen, processing the magnitude of the revelations. The tension is almost unbearable, the air thick with anticipation, anger, and deep, unspoken sadness. The whispers fill the room as this session nears its closure. Of course, speculation, judgment, and disbelief are in fair measure. Kody's hands lay on the table, trembling a little. Robin stares at him, her mind racing with questions, anger, and sorrow. Christine's gaze doesn't leave the scene, calculating, observing for the next move. Glances pass between Janelle and Mary that speak volumes of mutual fear and uncertainty as to where their family's future may be headed. The clerk of the court calls the next session to order, but tensions remain very alive in the air. Everyone knows that this is a start of some sort. The revelations of the investigator will have ripples well out of the courtroom, into relationships, trust, and the very fabric of family. The quiet is thick, almost suffocating. Kody sits ramrod straight, his nervous eyes darting toward Robin, then Christine, then the judge. The envelope from the private investigator already had them pretty shaken, but the anticipation of this final recording makes every second feel stretched and heavy. Even the sun shining through the windows seems dull, as if the room itself recognizes the storm about to erupt. The clerk says, "The recording will now be played." A silence falls over the crowd, so deep that even the scratching of pens seems loud. Kody's hands shake as he clasps them together, attempting to center himself. Robin leans slightly forward, her eyes wide with fear and determination. Christine sits poised, sharp-eyed, almost eager. She has been waiting for this. The recording plays. There's static first, and then Kody's voice comes through, trembling, barely recognizable, so vulnerable. It's nighttime, in the darkened family house. Raised voices, Kody and Christine, are sharp, laced with anger and frustration. There is laughter that turned into shouting, whispers that sounded like confessions, the voice cracking at times with raw emotion. First comes the first bombshell. Christine takes Kody to task for decisions he has made without consulting the other wives. Financial decisions, private meetings, and clandestine communications. Kody stammers, trying to justify himself, but only reveals layer after layer of deception. Robin flinches with every sentence, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle the gasp that threatens to escape. The subject of the conversation flips completely. A hushed tone from Kody reveals he had been brokering alliances behind closed doors, dividing the ranks in ways the wives weren't even aware of. Christine's voice cuts through the audio like a knife, sharp and pointed, accusing him of betrayal, manipulation, and secrecy. The courtroom holds its collective breath, Mary's hands shake in her lap. As her eyes widen, tears welling up, Janelle bites her lip, trying to hold it in. but the knuckles of her fingers gripping the edge of her seat are white. Robin is pale, shock and hurt threading with anger. Kody slumps slightly, eyes closed for a moment, burdened by the exposure. Christine leans forward, relishing every word, her quiet smirk gone, almost palpable intensity in its place. The recording continues, and private planning, discussions of family control, and subtle manipulations, meant not to be noticed by everyone, quickly come to the fore. Every word cuts deeper into the fracture at the foundation of the family. The voices on the tape are raw, emotional, and entirely unfiltered, confessions nobody was prepared to hear so clearly. Suddenly the tone shifts. There's a mention of the children, quiet, almost whispered, but the words carry immense emotional weight. Decisions made in secrecy have affected them, and the realization of this responsibility weighs upon Kody. Robin's hands clench in anger and sorrow. Mary's lips quiver as she whispers a soft, almost inaudible, "I can't believe this." Janelle's eyes are wide with fear and disbelief. Christine's reaction is a bit more controlled, but her eyes gleam with the satisfaction of being right, having suspected the truth all along. The recording intensifies. It captures Kody, pleading, apologizing, trying to justify, but each word only digs him deeper. Christine's retorts are cutting, exposing inconsistencies, and highlighting the deliberate decisions that have hurt everyone. The interplay of accusation, confession, and emotion is cinematic in its impact, painting a vivid picture of a family unraveling under the weight of secrets. The investigator had warned this was the most critical piece of evidence, and his words are now undeniably true. The room is on edge. Any viewer that watches this unfold would almost feel they were trapped in the courtroom themselves. Hearts racing, shallow breathing, unable to look away. The tension was palpable, thick enough to be touched. As the recording continues to play, a surprise voice is revealed. A family insider whose existence no one knew of. They speak in a discreet, hesitant tone at first, but each word carries weight. Actions, decisions, alliances that were kept from everyone's view. Even Robin and the other wives are being given out. Their confessions are so chilling. They expose schemes and betrayals that might irreparably change the dynamics of the family. Robin's reaction is immediate. She gasps audibly, eyes wide, her whole body stiffening as the implications sink in. Mary leans forward, fingers pressed against her lips, trying to suppress the sobs threatening to escape. Janelle's arms cross over her chest defensively, while Christine allows herself a quiet, controlled smile, the satisfaction barely hidden. Kody's face turns pale, sweat beading on his forehead, as the insider names specifics, things only someone intimately involved could know. The courtroom becomes a flurry of reactions. Whispers ripple like waves, but the judge calls for silence, his gavel sharply cutting through the murmur. "Order in the court," he demands. The voice is quiet, but the emotional tension remains, almost tangible, crackling in the air. Every family member takes the revelations differently, their inner struggles clearly shown in posture, gestures, and facial expressions. Kody's eyes scan the room, desperately seeking some scintilla of support, of understanding, but finds mirrored only in betrayal and disappointment. Robin's gaze is steady, piercing, demanding honesty where none can be found. Christine's eyes never leave him, calculated and observant. Mary looks down, her lips pressed tightly together as she struggles to remain composed. Janelle's body tenses, poised in anticipation at what the next moments will reveal. As the recording reaches its climax, an unexpected confession shocks everyone. It's no longer just Kody's secrets, but also Christine, who has been implicated in decisions that have contributed to the tension and fractures. The voices in the recording jumble together, revealing the complex web of deception that has gone unnoticed by the majority outside the immediate families. The emotional impact is overwhelming, leaving a residue of disbelief, sorrow, and anger that lingers within the court like a tangible fog. The recording suddenly stops, the only sound now an oppressive silence weighing upon them. The room is frozen. Kody doesn't move. Robin's hand hovers above his, comfort and confrontation mingling. Christine leans back, unreadable, except for the gleam in her eyes that gives away triumph. Mary and Janelle remain tense, scrambling to work out the full extent of what they have just heard. The judge clears his throat and breaks the silence. "We will recess for a short break," he says, but nobody budges, dumbfounded. Each of them is lost in the emotional overflow. With the weight of the revelations pressing down in a way no one could have prepared for, the tension is palpable, the room charged with anticipation of what comes next. As the session nears its end, the private investigator suddenly bends toward the judge to say something in a barely audible voice. The judge just acknowledges slightly, a shade of solemnity crossing his face. Glances are exchanged amongst family members, some questioning, some fearful, others calculating. All know this is just the beginning, and at the next session, the emotional stakes will be even higher. The tension of what has been unsaid for hours weighs heavy now in this courtroom. Every member of the family seems to shrivel into themselves as they try to wrap their minds around the aftermath of the final recording from the previous session. Kody's hands slightly tremble as he readjusts his tie. His jaw is tight, his shoulders rigid. Robin leans forward, her fingers gripping the edge of the table so tightly that her knuckles are white. Christine sits poised, almost predatory, her eyes glinting with anticipation at how the next revelation may finally tip the scales further in her direction. Mary presses her lips together, threatening to spill tears. Janelle's leg bounces nervously under the table, betraying the tension she tries to mask. The judge's voice cuts through the thick silence. The next witness shall be one whose testimony has never been made public. Their insights are crucial to understanding the full scope of this case. A murmur runs through the courtroom. People lean forward instinctively, caught between curiosity and dread. The door opens slowly. A figure steps into the room, someone the family knows, but never expects to see in a court of law. The room seems to hold its breath as the witness approaches the stand. Their presence is quiet but commanding, carrying the weight of knowledge and secrets that could shake the very core of the family. The witness starts off with caution, their voice soft but with a powerful tone. "I have been in the confidence of this family for years," he initiates. "I've seen the decisions, the alliances, and the secrets that nobody else has seen. Today, I am here to tell the truth." Kody's face goes white, and tiny beads of sweat pop out on his forehead. Robin's eyes widen as she leans forward, her heart pounding against her chest. Christine is sitting up straighter now, a controlled expression masking the flicker of excitement. Mary clasps her hands in her lap. Janelle bites her lip, and the rest of the courtroom waits with bated breath as the witness begins to reveal private moments and hidden interactions of clandestine meetings, secret phone calls, and whispered conversations that no wife knew anything about. Each revelation cuts a little deeper than the last, revealing layers of betrayal, manipulation, and deception hidden for years. The tension is palpable. Robin gasps softly as this witness names specifics, events she had only vaguely suspected. Mary's eyes widen in shock. Janelle shifts uncomfortably in her seat, torn between disbelief and the need to process the new information. Christine's lips press together, but her eyes sparkle with anticipation, as if savoring every word that confirms her suspicions. Kody shifts uncomfortably in his seat, realizing every attempt to justify himself is futile. The witness reveals an alliance that had been quietly forged between Kody and Christine in decisions that not only would affect Robin, but all the wives. The courtroom gasps. Robin's hand goes to her mouth. Mary lets out a sharp huff of air, and Janelle grasps the edge of her seat. For Christine, her face is stoic, but deep within her eyes, a scintilla of pride and anticipation glimmers. The eyes of Kody signal more than words can say as his hands clench tightly, weight from exposure bearing down with immeasurable force. And this, if anything, can get worse. The testimony gets even heated. The witness describes emotional confrontations, whispered agreements, and manipulations designed to control family outcomes. The voices on that recording from the session before were merely the beginning. Now, the witness provides context, motives, and hidden actions that complete the picture. Every word cuts like a dagger through layers of trust, loyalty, and love. The emotions that play upon Robin's face change in quick succession: anger, sorrow, and then disbelief. She tries to keep her composure, but her shaking hands and clenched jaw give away her agitation. Mary hunched forward, her trembling hands clasped tightly. She whispered, "I can't believe this is happening." Janelle looked around the room, hoping to find some understanding in the chaos that was taking place. Christine relaxed backward, a small controlled smile crossing her lips as she watched the unraveling occurring. Just as she had predicted, the witness stops, for a moment, to let the weight of his words fall into place. The courtroom is silent, except for the occasional gasp or quiet sniffle. The tension from this is nearly unbearable, creating a sense that the very walls of the room are vibrating with anticipation and dread. Then, the revelation that would stun them the most: a secret plan, hidden from everybody, to manipulate the family relationships, control resources, and make decisions that would affect all 5 wives. The details were condemning. No misunderstanding could be derived from them. The courtroom reacted unanimously. Robin's eyes welled with tears. Mary grasped her hands in her lap to suppress sobs. Janelle's mouth parted slightly in incredulity, and Christine hardened her gaze, her calculating composure masking the thrill of confirmation. Kody's face was white, a bead of sweat running down his temple. The witness went further, pointing out how trust had been deliberately destroyed, alliances secretly formed, and events manipulated in a direction no one in that family could have foreseen. Each blow strikes like a sledgehammer, leaving Kody dumbstruck and the wives reeling in shock. It's as if time stood still in the courtroom as every participant froze in fear, anger, and disbelieving horror. Robin finally finds her voice, her words shaking but firm. "Kody, how could you do this? To all of us." Her question echoes in the room, not just an accusation, but as a plea for truth and understanding. Kody opens his mouth to answer, but the witness interjects, not allowing him to minimize the revelations. Christine leans forward with her eyes narrowed, savoring the unfolding drama. The witness's final blow is in the form of a document quietly given to the court, detailing financial, emotional, and relational consequences of these secret actions. It is an irrefutable piece of evidence that confirms the depths of manipulation and betrayal. The room is silent as everyone processes the weight of disclosure. Kody sits in stunned silence, head hung low, his hands quivering. On Robin's face, hardness settles in. The hurt mixed with resolve is evident on her face. Mary covers her mouth with her hand to hold back sobs. Janelle had her eyes wide, her eyes brimming with unbelief. Christine remained composed but alert, having full awareness of the shifting dynamics that this testimony will create. The judge looks over his glasses, breaking the heavy silence. "We will recess briefly," he says, though the words feel almost perfunctory. No one moves immediately. The emotional weight in the room is palpable, leaving everyone frozen, absorbed in the magnitude of the revelations. Even the staff of the court seem tense, aware that they are witnessing one of those events that holds extraordinary emotional and legal significance. The families of those present in the courtroom shift in their seats. Whispers quietly pass through the gallery. It's a highly dramatic moment, the kind that producers of television shows dream about, which pulls viewers to the edge of their seats, hearts racing. With the end of this session, the witness steps down from the stand, the job now done for the time being. But the tension remains thick and unsolved, leaving the family and the audience in anticipation of what is to come next. The next session is sure to be even more intense, as the evidence and testimony start to come together to form a narrative that will irrevocably alter the Browns' family dynamic. The courtroom is thick with tension as Session 5 gets underway. The silence of the recent revelations still swirls in the air, like a heavy fog, pressing down on each family member. Kody sits at the table, his shoulders drooping, his fingers playing with the papers in front of him. Every so often, he casts a sideways glance at Robin, whose features have set in anger and sorrow. Christine leans back, her posture casual, but her eyes intent, like a predator waiting for just the right moment to pounce. Mary presses her hands together, clutching tightly onto them, as if they might give her the bravery to press forward into what's coming. Janelle rocks slightly in her chair, her leg bobbing, giving away a tension she desperately wants to hide. The judge's voice cuts through the courtroom. We will now hear testimony from the family's legal representative regarding the documents presented in previous sessions. It's an announcement that brings a new level of tension. Everyone knows that what's coming could determine custody, finances, and reputation, not to mention unravel years of careful family balance. The advocate steps forward, adjusting her glasses, and then her firm but measured voice rings out. These documents are more than proof of various actions that have taken place in the past. They present a pattern of decisions made behind closed doors, actions taken without the acceptance of other family members, and alliances made that have altered relationships in ways previously unknown. Kody's hands clench into fists. Robin's jaw tightens. Christine narrows her eyes, though her composure remains intact. Mary shifts uncomfortably, bracing herself. Janelle sits rigid, her mind racing to process the implications. With each word the lawyer says in his presentation, it cuts through the room like a razor blade and elevates the emotional mood. The lawyer then proceeds to give a blow-by-blow sequence of events with documented records and recordings of clandestine meetings, secret financial decisions, and manipulations of family alliances. The courtroom is dead silent. There is tension in the air. Each member reacts differently. Kody's face darts from fear to defiance. Robin's hands slightly shake. Mary bites into her lip, and Janelle's eyes widen in incredulity. Christine keeps still, her fingers steepled, an aura of calculated calm exuding from her. He produces photos and memos of private conversations and clandestine meetings. The photos confirm suspicions the wives have had but can't quite get a handle on. Robin gasps softly as she recognizes situations that implicate Kody in decisions he'd made without including her. Mary's eyes glisten. Janelle's hands clench into fists. Christine leans forward slightly, savoring the revelations and the unraveling emotions of the others. The courtroom turns into a storm of suppressed emotions. Kody tries to explain, his voice wavering. I didn't want anyone to get hurt, he begins, but his words falter in the overwhelming evidence. Robin cuts in, sharp, her voice shaking with anger. Hurt? Do you even understand what this has done to us? To me? The smirk on Christine's face slowly dissolves and gives way to a fierce intensity, almost victorious. Mary leans in close, her voice barely above a whisper. I can't believe this is happening. Janelle's face tenses with every word as she listens to the unfolding confrontation. Each sentence, each word weighs heavy with emotional consequence. Everyone molding anew what trust means to this family. The last piece of evidence he reveals is a secret letter between Kody and Christine, disclosing hidden agreements he had made with Christine that affected Robin, Mary, and Janelle. A gasp fills the room in unison. Robin's eyes well up, brimming over. Kody hangs his head low, silent and with no defense. Christine sits tall, her expression unreadable, but a sparkle in her eye betrays her feelings of vindication. Mary clutches her hands together tightly to hold back her sobs. Janelle bends forward, her mouth partly open in some kind of disbelief at what she hears. The emotional intensity in the room builds as the lawyer lays out the consequences of those secret decisions. Custody arrangements, financial distributions, and family dynamics have all been influenced by actions taken in secrecy. The weight presses down on everyone. Kody is immobile, his mind reeling from the scope of exposure. Robin's hands shake as she clings to the edge of the table. Mary mutters to herself, trying to fathom the depth of betrayal. Christine's gaze stays sharp, taking in every reaction, every flicker of emotion. Then, without warning, the lawyer asks for their attention. "There's one final matter," she says, reaching for a sealed envelope on her desk. "This document has not been seen by the family until now, and it may alter the course of these proceedings significantly." The room goes completely silent. Every eye is fixed on the envelope. Kody's hands shake as he reaches for it. Robin leans forward, her breathing shallow. Christine's expression is placid, but her eyes gleam with anticipation. Mary covers her mouth with her hand, trying to steel herself. Janelle clutches the edge of her seat, her knuckles white. The envelope opens slowly, pulling out photos, letters, and documents with even more alliances and manipulations that were previously hidden. With each and every piece of evidence, their suspicions are confirmed. The suspicions that had long been felt, but not truly deciphered in the wives' minds. It's all so overwhelming. Kody is speechless. Tears well up in Robin's eyes as her lips quiver, trying to process the betrayal. Christine leans back in her chair, her quiet triumph only partially masked by her stoic expression. Mary whispers, This can't be real." Janelle bites her lip, riveted on the documents. The tension is palpable. The emotional intensity is almost too much to bear. This courtroom has turned into a platform of raw, unbridled reactions. Kody attempts to explain, but his words ring hollow. The anger and pain in Robin's eyes are visible. Mary's sadness palpable. Janelle's disbelief tangible. Christine remains calculated, but even she looks moved by the magnitude of what has been unfolded. As the session draws to a close, the judge speaks to the family in a calm, unwavering voice. "We will recess to allow all parties to review evidence and prepare for the next phase of testimony. The revelations presented today are significant and will have consequences for everyone involved." The family says nothing, each lost to their own thoughts, their emotions churning, and this courtroom thick with unspoken tension. Kody slumps in his seat, exhaustion and dread written across his face. Robin leans back slightly, her hands still shaking, the weight of betrayal pressing upon her. Mary rests her head in her hands. Janelle stares blankly ahead, and Christine sits perfectly still with her eyes sharp, taking in every reaction. The room is charged, every heartbeat magnified, every breath heavy with anticipation. The emotional fallout does not stop there. Even after the session is finally over, whispers fill the courtroom. Eyes lock in silent communications with family members, and the weight of the revelations hangs in the air. A viewer watching this scene would feel as though they were in the room themselves, hearts racing, emotions raw, and unable to look away from the unfolding drama.